Hello, friends, and good evening to everyone. We are taking up the normal science of triangles meditation. I want to apologize for not getting through to you last night. It seems that YouTube is having all kinds of new verification methods. And on top of that, the program was set for private, which would mean that you could not get in. But then BL, I think, sent out to everybody a recording I made, a simple recording of the vigil that Tuya and I have been conducting to think about the dangerous situation in Afghanistan, with the Taliban having overrun that country, but they are milder, it seems, in their intentions at the moment than the ISIS-K group, which is a deadly group, responsible already in the last few days for killing over 180 people with bombs and so forth. So we really wanted to get through to you on that, and we will tonight get through. I trust, because I trust anyway that now I understand the situation which would not allow me in. They change suddenly, and then if you give yourself the usual amount of time to begin your broadcast, not a Zoomcast but a broadcast, there's not enough time left to follow their new instructions. But in any case, what we are trying to do is to build the etheric body of our planet in such a way that it resembles or approximates the sacred planets, which ours is not yet. The sacred planets have in their etheric vehicles patterns of triangles, and you know which ones they are, listed in ray order: Vulcan, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, Venus, Neptune, and Uranus. And some of those are also the synthesizing planets. Eventually we'll get to the Sun, the vehicle of the solar logos, and we will find that the etheric body is based upon interlocking circles. A circle perhaps can be considered as the perfect figure, certainly more perfect than the polygons which can expand within it, you know, the triangle, square, pentagram, hexagram, septagram, octagon, so forth, until you have an n-sided polygon which approximates a circle. Well, we're definitely not there yet. We have a non-sacred planet which basically has taken the first cosmic initiation. It has not yet been through the Judgment Day and taken the second great cosmic initiation, and we're on our way towards that. Excuse me. But that is a long time ahead. And whether it will occur on our fourth chain, or maybe on the fifth chain, or whether it will be a chain initiation and a cosmic initiation at the same time, remains to be seen. We are actually on our particular fourth chain undergoing a fourth subsidiary initiation, which makes things very difficult for humanity and for the planet as a whole. But the cosmic initiation looms ahead. The Judgment Day, in its reality, looms ahead. Not the judgment as some of the religions seem to suggest, that, you know, the individual is going to heaven or to hell, to paradise or some kind of other horrible place, you know, forever. Huh? So obviously we have great limitations in our thinking. But we can, I think, in our own little way and on our own little scale, we can begin to move towards the triangles. The soul is sometimes called the triangle, and basically what this will mean for us is that soul energy will be conducted through our etheric body rather than the energy simply of the square. Pardon me. I'm remembering DK talking about a sage who instructed him on the manner of esoterically bisecting the square, which probably meant to turn it into two triangles. And this sage, well, we don't know who he was, but very likely, or at least as a hypothesis, it could have been Pythagoras or an earlier incarnation, that is, of Master Kutumi. So, as simple as this work appears to be when we're simply doing the normal triangles work, I mean, there is a whole science behind all this, but when we're simply doing the triangles work, it is close to the Tibetan's heart, and it is work that he said must go on. Now, when a master talks about work that must go on, we begin to realize that we have a big responsibility. We know something about it. We are associated with people who share common spiritual values with us, and with whom we can form triangles, and even perhaps we can form triangles with those who are just on the edge of being able to accept something wider than the illusions and the glamours to which they adhere. So that's just a little background on what we do every day using the great world prayer, the great invocation, and how we work every couple of weeks at least together in group form, such as we are doing this evening. The triangles of light and goodwill are essentially invocative, and they constitute the ABC of the coming science of invocation. DK tells us in Rays and Initiations, we can ponder deeply on it, their strength is dependent upon the depth of feeling in the one case, and the strength of the will in the other, with which they are created. And that is a big hint, DK tells us, I think. Love and goodwill, those triangles depend upon the depth of feeling. The triangles of light are, by some accounts, more esoteric, and they depend upon the strength of the will. And not only does he say it's close to my heart, he says it's so close to my heart. So we're supposed to take those two statements about the depth of feeling and strength of will seriously. These triangles culminate or climax, at least on our planet, in the three Buddhas of activity. And two of the Buddhas especially, the one who works through the medium of the will aspect and the one who works through love in humanity intelligently applied. These Buddhas are very esoteric, mysterious beings, and they are working under the law of sacrifice. And DK tells us of them that they are in a peculiar sense, the transmuted essence of the previous solar system in which intelligent activity was the goal. And today, he says, that essence underlies all the activity of this solar system, but is motivated by love. So, our own little network, the network of all those who perform the triangle's work, and culminating with the peak of the triangle found in the three Buddhas of activity. We will be building the Antakarana, which is, DK tells us, in reality the linking thread between the head center of Sanat Kumara and his heart center. our triangles work, assists us in this way, and those who work in the educational department, the fourth department, or the fourth C group, let us call it, they are particularly involved in building the Antikarana, which is so connected with Mercury and the number 4. So going on now with our meditation, we breathe in white light a few times, drawing the light from the soul via the Antikarana, the first part of the Antikarana. It's really, interestingly, for this work, the Antikarana is a triangle. So we breathe in the white light a few times. And we sound the Om. Now, inaudibly and very consciously, we sound the Om 3 times, inaudibly, through our lower triangle, the 3 lower bodies. Let us do that. And it's clear that we are trying to link up a number of triangles in our system. The triangle which is the soul with the triple personality, the triangle which is the spiritual triad with the soul and triple personality, the triangle which is the monad with the spiritual triad, soul and personality. Now, we carry on this process that DK gave to one of his more advanced students, a student with a second ray soul, but a first ray monad, as far as I've been able to determine. And he says, DK says. I would ask you for a few minutes each morning prior to doing the group meditation to rest quietly back in your chair or bed and, closing your eyes, link up with your soul and with me, your friend. And this we are going to do now wherever we happen to be. You will thus create a triangle of light between your soul, your head center, and myself. And he says further, fix and hold this triangle firmly in your consciousness. Through the power of the creative imagination. Then see it next as a solid triangle of light, not just as an outline. Visualize the base of the triangle on the mental plane, where Master DK works and where dwells and works your soul, presumably the angel of the presence. The lower point or apex touches the top of your head. Now, see pouring down via the triangle a stream of light, golden, light orange in color, not white. Pouring down. See this light orange, this golden light orange light flooding your whole body. And when you have visualized this as perfectly as possible, then rest back in that light and bathe in it as you would bathe in the waters of the sea. See, it's permeating every part of your physical equipment. That is the light. And let it do its work without your having any definite ideas about what should be accomplished. And he says, the rest of the activity is in my hands, and you can safely leave it to me. And he says, this exercise will aid you in handling your life problem and your service until such time as you enter into that light wherein consciousness awakens, free from the bonds of flesh. And then the blessing of your co-disciples is upon you and yours on them. Oh. Now the stage of contact, after having reached a poised stage and holding the consciousness steadily in the mind and not in the head. Contact the spiritual triplicity, which is that which, quote, hovers over the square and radiates the energy of light into this waiting field of active thought. Then we say the mantra of the will. In the center of the will of God, I stand. Naught shall deflect my will from His. I implement that will by love. I turn towards the field of service. I, the Triangle Divine, work out that will within the square and serve my fellow men. Oh. Now we begin to contact our triangle's members, realizing the reality of this contact, at least this reality on our planet and solar system. We start with the premise that energy follows thought. And we focus upon our own triangle or triangles and calling upon our triangle group members by name and with love. So we visualize this flow of light and goodwill passing between the members of our own little network. First, the love. Expressing as goodwill, which is love in action. And we think of what Lord Maitreya said in his incarnation as the Christ: "A new commandment I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you also must love one another." And this is particularly the second ray, which is at work, changing the squares into triangles. But we must also work with spiritual light, visualizing the flow of spiritual light passing between the members of your triangles. And just as the other flow of love descended from that Buddha who is the expression of love, so here we have the Buddha who works through the will aspect. And when the eye is opened, all is illumined. So we ponder then upon the words also of the Christ and of some other great sages. I am the light of the world. Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great Hermes, was said to have said this, and certainly the Buddha Gautama has demonstrated this. I am the light of the world. And it is up to us, can we become also the light of the world? So here is the triple relation. The network of triangles is under the eye of the three Buddhas of activity. And your little network, whether it's one or more, is connected with the global network of triangles and with the three Buddhas. It's amazing to think that these Buddhas are real beings, that they are here, they really exist. from all the triangles now being created, the Buddhas of activity will extract that essential quality which goes to the building of the Antakarana. And we do know, or we do have the faith that in times of emergency within humanity upon this planet, the Buddhas of activity can energize the triangle's network for protective purposes, protecting humanity and the other kingdoms. We don't know how they do that, but they can do that. This great science is coming, the science of invocation. And we build up towards greater and greater efficiency in bringing love as goodwill and light as the will to good into the consciousness and service activities. Of the members of the new group of world servers. We work on the science of impression as it is given in the telepathy and the etheric vehicle. And we develop a triangle between the spiritual triad which basically expresses itself through the abstract mind, the soul or son of mind, and the concrete mind. The triple triad, of course, through these three aspects of the mind. Now we're going to sound the great invocation. This is the core activity of the triangle's work. And be conscious and let your spiritual invocation be heard on high. And so, sound, visualize, make an impact in the triadal world of the great ones. from the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. And in our stage of manifestation, we see the global network of golden triangles covering the entire planet. We endeavor to realize the factual nature of this great spiritual organism which constantly substands world affairs. We see it as a growing, vital reality of such life and potency that it can break through or break up all limiting outer cleavages, and by the very force of its interior life eventually externalize itself. We have heard the story that about 100,000 living triangles functioning within the square-like etheric body of Earth and transmuting that squarish field into triangles will be enough to turn the tide. So light from the will of God, goodwill from the love of God, and eventually triangles of will also will be created. We attempt to see the earth as a sacred planet, and humanity redeemed. We sound the Om 3 times, sustaining the circulation of love and light flowing through your triangle and the network of triangles. Well, friends, we want to thank you for your participation, and if my luck holds, at 7:30 we will begin another vigil. I think it's vigil number 6 for that part of the world, under the guidance of the planetary center that we call Darjeeling, and hopefully I'll get through to you. I couldn't do that last night, but I discovered that the broadcast had been set to private. I didn't set it, but it was there, and it took a while to detect the error. Now, tonight, hopefully there is no error, but there are new requirements for YouTube broadcasts, and that slows us down a little unless you have those at the tip of your fingers. So let's remember that though this work is apparently simple, it's very real, very close to the Tibetan's heart, which is probably an occult statement, really, and that it must go on, and maybe it's not so hard for people to understand. We try to give them the opportunity to understand it. And I think we can do that and help to evoke the work of many Triangles workers. I will play now Great Invocation number 1. Let the forces of light bring illumination to mankind, and so forth. We'll see some of you, maybe all of you, in another hour and a half or so. Bye-bye for now.